And so go now. You guys might have a button that asks you to accept recording. Go ahead and do that. Okay. So here we go. Okay, so the way the system works is the company is going to provide leads, right? You also have the ability to add your own leads into the system, but the company is going to provide leads in several different ways. So the first way that a company provides the lead is the client's going to click on a property when they're on our website. The system's going to prompt them for their email, name, and phone number. And then the lead goes into a queue that gets distributed out to agents that are, quote, turned on in the system itself for receiving leads. So that's the first way leads are provided. The second way is what we call speed to leads. So these are leads that don't go into a queue. They are instantly sent to agents. Okay, so when they're instantly sent to the agents have a chance to click on it to go directly to that lead immediately. So those are kind of, you only get a few seconds to respond to those, and then the lead goes, it'll stay as an option for you, but then they keep sending it out to other agents. I'll talk about that here in a minute. The next thing is our call-in lead. So on our website, when people are searching, there's always a phone number that they can dial. If they don't want to sign up, or if they don't want to deal with the website punching in information, sometimes they'll call to talk to an agent. When they call to talk to an agent, the people end up all of the calls start ringing the clients that are in the call center database phone. So like, for example, if in Las Vegas, I think we have 22 agents that are part of the call center rotation. So when a lead signs or when a lead dials in, all 22 agents' phones ring. If they answer it and they're the first one to answer it, they'll be talking directly to the client. So we don't get a lot of those leads, but usually those leads are really good or they're really bad. They're really good because they want to go see property, or they're really bad because, oh, do you guys have Section 8? Or I'm looking for a rental, or what's the HOA? So sometimes they're great, but we definitely convert more of those leads when people call in. To receive any of these leads, you must be turned on on our website. If you don't know what that is, I'll show it to you later, but we have a button on the home screen of the IMS that tells you that you can choose when you're ready to take lead opportunities, right? So that's what, those are the, that little switch must be flipped to the on position, okay? So let's look here at the website. So this is the website and how it looks. On the left side is how it looks when someone clicks on a property or does a search and they find a property. This is what it looks like on the desktop computer. And on the right side here, this is what it looks like on your mobile device, like a mobile phone, right? So clients can get to our website, and they get to our website various ways, different advertising, Google searches. They find our website because they're looking for homes in the particular market that you're in. I'm showing you Las Vegas, but every market is going to be the same across the country for Easy Street and High Garden. So either place, that everything we do is kind of similar across the country. So what happens is, in this case, when a client clicks on the picture or looks to view details and they want more information, the system's going to take them to a registration area. This is what they see. Create your free account. Find all the properties, view the photos, and they ask them to put in an email address, okay? So they can continue with email. The next screen that pops up is this final step. Tell us what you're doing, considering a move, I want to move, or I'm just browsing. And then it asks them for their name and phone number, and then they click. So 2 quick little things that they ask them to do, and then that generates the lead that goes to you in our what we call the lead opportunity system, right? So this person signs up, it goes into a queue, it may come to you immediately, or it may be in a queue for a little while and then gets distributed out to our agents. It's just a random thing, and our system prioritizes the leads based on what they're looking for, okay? Next thing is, this is what it looks like for you as the agent when it starts to distribute the leads out. So you're going to get a text and an email that has this information. This is the text, obviously. So the text, it's either going to be a just browsing lead, considering a move lead, or I want to move lead. Now, technically, you would think that the I want to move leads are the ones that are going to be more ready to buy, but you don't know that for sure. Some of these just browsing people just kind of are telling you, we're just browsing, but really they might be really interested. So you just got, but at least it gives you an idea of what they're telling you when they first sign up. So you have a couple of options to either view the opportunity, accept and call now, or no thanks, I'm going to pass. I'm not ready right now. Even though you're turned on, you do have the option to pass on a lead right away. Now, what I always suggest to my agents is don't ever use the accept and call now, no thanks, I'll pass. This is your lead and you get about 7 minutes to respond to it, right? So I always tell them to use the view opportunity so at least you see a little bit more information. And this is what that looks like. So on the desktop, you get this screen over here. Notice the 3 buttons: accept and call now, no thanks, I'll pass, or oh, this is a bad lead. It's Barack Obama, Fred Flintstone, Felix the Cat. You know, you've got people sign up sometimes with fake information. This button should only be used if you're almost 95% sure it's a bad lead. And you can click this button and then you would get back in line for the next lead. Normally when you accept a lead, it gives you a little delay before you can accept another lead. It's usually an hour to an hour and a half before you can accept another opportunity. So when you hit bad lead, you don't have to wait that time. You'll get the next lead that comes up. When you go, no thanks, I'll pass, you're telling the system you're not ready for leads, and you'll have a little delay before you get another opportunity. All right, so accept and call now is obviously what we hope all of you do with every lead, because you're in the rotation and you're trying to take leads. Now, every once in a while, there'll be something, the area of town that you don't want and things like that. So we understand that you need to skip a few of those, but we would most likely expect you to accept most of the leads when you're turned on. Obviously over here, this is what it looks like on the phone. A little less information because it's a smaller screen, but you still have the 3 options: accept, no thanks, I'll pass, and bad lead, okay? Then the second type of lead that I told you about was the speed to lead. These are marketing that the company does to generate leads that probably have more interest right away, because what we give them in these ads is call agent, message agent, or schedule a tour, right? So when they click the button call agent, a number pops up on their screen. This is the mobile view, obviously, which is where most of our people register, is usually on a phone. That's what our statistics show. They click this button and it calls directly to the call center. And that's where I told you earlier that whoever's available, all their phones ring, and then whoever answers it first will be talking directly to the client that clicked this button. Then there's message agent. So they want to just send a text message or an email. So we ask them to put in their phone number and email, and then they can either use the default note, which is just, I am interested in this property that they're looking at, or they can customize it and add their own message in there, which happens sometimes. Then they hit send, all right? So that creates what we call a speed to lead opportunity. Same with scheduling a tour. Scheduling a tour, it asks them to pick the day and time, and then the next screen will ask them to put in, it'll send it out to the lead. So these are the 3 options on these speed to leads that we expect immediate responses from our agents, because these guys are more likely to be ready to go. So once they enter and hit the send button on the message agent, it's going to deliver a speed to lead opportunity, right? So the speed to lead opportunity says Denver, so on, click here to call. As soon as they hit that button, if they are the first person, it will call the lead and connect them, right? If they don't click the lead right away, the text message will go to the next agent in line. So every 6 seconds, the system's going to send it to the next agent. So if you're the first agent, you're going to have a better chance of getting it. But it does keep sending out the text messages because we want someone to talk to this person, right? Okay, now, remember, we don't ask them on this message agent for a name. So really all we know is that what they put in their little note. And so we've got so this is kind of a template that you can use if you do get through on the phone. The client picks up, hello, this is Chris with High Garden Real Estate or Easy Street Realty. You had an interest in the home on Parkway Drive or whatever it is. How can I help? So that's your opening line, because you don't know their name yet. So it's important for you during the call to get their name, get their email, phone, make sure you've got all that information before you hang up, okay? When the call ends, if you do talk to them, the agent will get a second text after they hang up the phone. It basically says speed to lead, want to send text, right? So it gives you some default text that you can send immediately after you're done calling. So the first one is based on if you didn't talk to them, you got their voicemail or something. You can click this link, it's just gonna send a text, sorry I missed you, how can I help? Now, if you did talk to the person, they give you a standard text message template as well. Great chatting with you. Here's my contact info, and allows you to send a quick message. Now you also can click a link to send a customized text right here. So you basically, when you click that, it allows you to create your own text message with your own words instead of these default words. So you got 3 options when you get done with the call, trying to make it real easy for you to make a follow-up to that client. Now, some of us don't like to use these text messages, so you can go right to the lead, view lead in the IMS, and do your updates from within the system, because some people like just to do things within the system. So all this is happening on a speed to lead that you get. Your phone is the one that wins the bid. So like maybe you're the 3rd person that gets the text, maybe it's your lead. So just a matter of what happens then. Next thing is the tour a home request. Same type of situation. You're going to get a speed to lead message and it wants you to click to call. Now, please notice that on the tour, schedule a tour, they give you a date and time. If you get this text message and you're not going to be available at this date and time, don't click the call, because the next agent that will be available. So you're kind of wasting a potential opportunity for the company. So we expect you, if you're not available, don't click this one. There'll be more coming. Just skip this one. Don't do anything. Just delete the text. Okay. So that's a speed to lead with the schedule a tour. So both of these are basically leads that we feel are higher priority, and we want agents to respond to immediately. They don't go into a queue, they're ready to go. The other leads that come directly from the website, they go into a queue. We don't feel it's important to call them immediately. Sometimes it's a detriment. So you'll see different ways that the company provides you the leads. So now that we've talked about how the leads come in, let's talk about what do you do with the lead once the phone call is made. So as you know, that when you do an accept and call the lead, the way our system works is your phone will ring, you answer it, and then the system calls the client while you're on the phone. So if the lead doesn't answer, you let it ring 3 or 4 times, or maybe they don't have voicemail. If it goes to their voicemail, you can either leave a message or not leave a message. Some agents feel that if they don't leave a message, the client may call them back. So usually on the first call, they don't leave a message, and then maybe when they call 20 minutes later, they do call, right? So once the call is over, you answer the IMS update question, which is part of the system. The lead is automatically labeled not contacted, and the 48-hour follow-up plan starts. During that 48-hour follow-up plan, the system is going to send 3 emails, 2 text messages. One of the emails is going to have properties attached to it if the client has clicked on enough properties where the system can say, get a profile together for that lead. So the system is going to send out a suggest message with, hey, what do you think of these properties? And it's another way of trying to get the client to contact you back. Now, you as the agent, after you do the update on what happened on the call, I would put the orange hot area tag on that lead. It's called the agent hot area. And this way, you know you've only made 1 call attempt to this client. The system's going to be doing things in the background, with the emails and the text messages. So your job should only be to follow up with calls. When you put it into that hot area, it's a good way to have a list every day that you can click on and say, oh, I've only called this person once, let's call them again. And so every day until you've made 4 or 5 calls, and then you can take them off the list. All right. So now if the lead does answer the call, what are you going to do? Well, first thing you're going to do is answer the question that you had a conversation, maybe you set a meeting, and then you're going to choose the appropriate status, prospect, client, or removed. Prospects are people that you basically not sure that they're ready to go right away, but you want to keep them in your database because you feel like they're eventually going to buy. A client is someone you say, oh, wow, I got off the phone with this person. they're ready to go. They're ready to set up a meeting. I think they're going to buy something in the next 30 to 60 days, right? That's a client. Or removed. You've talked to them, you realize, you know what, these people aren't real buyers, or maybe they were calling asking about rentals. You don't do rentals. Basically add a note and schedule a reminder if necessary. And then finally, if you do talk to them and you do get a response on what they're looking for, then you can turn off the auto suggest program. Remember, we have two programs that are going to send out listings, the auto suggest and the gateway. That's a separate class. We'll talk about those in a separate class, or you can ask questions about those when we're done in the general Q&A. But pretty much you turn off the auto suggest because you already know what they want. The suggest program, it might send out things that they don't want, because the suggest program is just guessing. Now that you know, turn it off, create a gateway, and put in the criteria that they tell you about. Now, after all of this happens, either way, after 72 hours, the system is going to automatically create the Gateway MLS listing program. It's going to send a general message, homes for the client from the agent, and it's going to basically guess at what they want, and it's going to set up the search. The search is going to be based on the properties they clicked on. Sometimes it's good, sometimes it's not, so it's always better to, as soon as you find out from the client, update the gateway search and turn off the suggest program. Okay, so again, after you have a lead in your database and you've spoken to them, it's very important that you set reminders. This is another thing that's very important for you guys to do, because these reminders are going to help you make sure these clients don't fall through the cracks. Some of you that are just starting, you're not going to have a lot of leads. You feel like you can just click through your leads and do things on a daily basis. Well, I've got some agents that have 3,000, 4,000 leads. That's not going to happen. You need to set reminders to make sure that you follow up with these people in a timely manner. So here's one that in June of 2019, the agent talked to the client, put a note, and says wants to move to Claremont, plans to purchase in 2020. Well, what happened with this lead is the reminder never was set, and the person actually ended up buying something in February of 2020. The agent never followed up. So all they would have had to do was set a reminder for sometime in December, and then they might have got the business, right? Here's another one. I told them that I would have someone from mortgage give them a call. What turned out on this situation, the person didn't set a reminder, and then never followed up. And when finally, I think it was January or February of the next year, the client was spoken with, and they already bought a house because they never got feedback from our agent. Okay, so make sure you set reminders. There's always reasons to follow up. If there's no reason to follow up, then you probably don't need to keep that lead in your system. So just remember, if you don't set a reminder, the lead may never show up on your hot list to remind you again. If follow-up is required, you should always leave a reminder. Anybody that you label a client or a prospect should have some future reminder, whether it's 1 week, 1 month, 3 months, 6 months, 2 years. Always have some next step for that particular client. And then once the reminder is set, you can forget about it, because the system's going to be doing its stuff in the background. And you don't necessarily, you thought that you set the reminder for the date you thought it was important to call them back. So don't worry about it unless they pop up again on your hot list or something else happens where they contact you. You've set your plan for this client. Don't worry about it. It's really simple, and it'll pop up on your daily reminder list. So finally, the last thing I want to talk about on this presentation today is just some of the daily routine that people do. That the most successful agents do this, and they're the ones that convert most of the company leads into sales. So let me share with you the first little tip is make sure that you work any lead on your hot list every day. Now, there's going to be days that this doesn't happen, but that should be your goal, to work every lead on the hot list. You're going to look at some of these hot list leads, and you're going to say, wow, this person isn't hot. Well, work it. Do what you need to do to make sure that person is or is not hot, right? The system does a pretty good job of picking things that you should follow up with the hot list, but it's not always perfect. Look at your reminder messages. Make sure you handle the reminders that are due. After all, you told yourself to do these things. So if you don't do them, you're basically betraying yourself and betraying your client. So make sure you do the reminders every day. Handle all the updates. So the system requires just a few updates when you get done with a phone call, or when you have an active client, it wants you to update the status of your active clients every 30 days. So make sure you handle all those updates. And then you have a prospecting area. So you need to set aside some time every day for prospecting. You know, you can't always be out showing homes and writing contracts. You have to prepare for the next deal. If you're always working on your current stuff, the next deal won't be there. So you always make time for your prospecting. Now, the easiest way to prospect, the agent hot list that you set up, all those not contacted people probably are pretty good prospecting list. You've already received them. You've made the opening call. The system is putting up text messages and emails in the background. These are the best people to try to reach. So make sure you make your calls to all your not contacted people that you've labeled in your agent hot list. After you've made 4 or 5 calls, they're probably not going to answer, so just take them off the hot list. And the list will keep replenishing because you're going to be taking new leads each day that you're available, and you're going to have those new leads that aren't reached either. So you'll start growing that list. Visitors in the last 24 hours and 2 to 7 days. The system shows you people that have been on the website. You can use that as a prospecting list. You've also got the new provided leads that we've been talking about in this presentation. And then you've got lastly the prospecting pool, which are leads that aren't currently assigned to any agents currently. They're basically, could be people that have left the company, could be people that have removed the leads that maybe are interested again now. You know, it's who knows, but the prospecting pool is a free source of leads. And all you have to do is pick up the phone and dial. And if they answer, you might get a new lead. You may not, but it's really setting aside time and just saying, you know what, I'm going to spend an hour a day doing prospecting, or 2 hours a day, whatever you think it may be. And on days that you're not busy, you might do more of it. Okay. So that being said, also make sure some of the detailed stuff is turn off the auto suggest, like I said earlier, after making contact. Flag your not contacted leads in the agent hot list. And make sure you use proper lead status. This is something that a lot of the agents don't really do, but I think it's so important to know based on the status what's going on. What are your thoughts of that client? Prospect, you've made call, but they're not ready to buy. Active clients, you've contacted them by text, email, or phone call, and you think they're ready to buy. This particular type of lead, the management's going to want you to send an update every 30 days, and there's a little button on the home screen that tells you when the system needs you to make an update. And then you should also schedule a follow-up reminder on every active client. You probably should on every prospect too, but every active client, definitely, if they're buying, you should have a next step. Not contacted leads are simply that. They've not replied to any email or text, or they have yet to reach you. You've yet to reach them via phone call. And removed, you feel like you're wasting your time with the client, or they're never going to buy. Now, I wouldn't use this status a lot, because every client that shows some interest, it doesn't hurt to leave them in your database as not contacted. Now, if they specifically tell you, stop calling me, I don't think I'm ever going to buy, or I'm not going to buy in Las Vegas, or I'm not going to buy in this particular market, sure, remove those. But ones you don't reach, just let them sit in your not contacted leads. After you take them off your agent hot list area because you've made 4 or 5 attempts, just let them sit in there. It doesn't hurt. The system's going to send them emails. Who knows, 3 years from now, they may call you and say, hey, I'm in town now. Thanks for all the emails. So anyway, those are a couple of quick tips about the system. Let me show you an agent's database that I was telling you about, one of our agents that has almost 4,000 leads. And let me share with you some of the good and the bad about his particular database. But for the most part, he has been a very successful agent within our company for years and years and years, because he uses the system kind of how the tools of the system, how it finds. And every once in a while he gets behind, like you'll see today. I'm going to show you some of these things. So today he's got 5 leads on his hot list. So his goal should be to bring that to 0 by working those 5 leads. So by the end of the day, his goal should be to get it to 0. Agent hot list, let's click on those and I'll show you what I'm talking about. So he has labeled a lot of his leads that he hasn't contacted yet. He has labeled them as not contacted and used this little orange flame as agent hot. So every day he has a list of people in here that are not contacted, plus some of the ones he wants to follow up that he has contacted. But the ones that he hasn't, he can click on them, look at this little telephone contact history button, and it says, oh, I've made 3 calls. I probably should make 4 or 5. So I'm going to go ahead and call this client right now because I've only made 3 attempts. They haven't answered. I'm going to click this call button and call them right now. Then it would be 4. And so tomorrow when he sees it, it'll be 4. And then after 4 or 5 calls and he said, you know what, I'm just going to click this off and this lead will no longer be on that hot list, right? So that's how you manage your not contacted leads if you're doing it and making sure that you're making enough phone call attempts because believe it or not, people do answer on that 3rd, 4th, or 5th day that you're making those calls. He's got 21 active clients. These are people he's labeled as active. He's got 1 client pending. He's closed 88. He's got 1 update requested. This is what I was telling you about. Every active client, every 30 days, the system wants an update. So if we click on that, I'll show you what that does. Client update due in 5 days. So that means it's been 25 days since his last update for this particular client. So all he has to do, he has 5 days of free, then it becomes past due. Once it becomes past due, the system is not going to allow him to accept any new lead opportunities. So it's important that you make sure you do these. Now he's got 5 days, so he's not in any jeopardy of losing his lead privileges. But it's a simple update now. What is this client? Is it a buyer or a seller? And you answer the little question. Not met face-to-face, met face-to-face, showed home, just update. Simple click, send update to your manager. And now he's got another 30 days before the management wants an update. So it's not much to ask for. Plus it is for the management to see what's going on, but it's mostly for you to make sure that you're staying on top of your clients. Down here, visits in the last 24 hours. So 33 of the clients in this agent's database have been on the website clicking on properties in the last 24 hours. So this is another way, after he's dealt with his agent hot lists and his hot list, if he has some extra time for prospecting, these are people that were recently on the website. He can go ahead and maybe call them, right? In the last 7 days, 160 clients have been on the website. So another potential prospecting list. Now, this is something where agents that have a lot of leads tend to fall behind because they get too busy, right? So these are important, though, and this is something that I talked to Martin about, Martin Edge is my agent here in town. But these are things that I tell him to work on. Past due reminders, 55. Now, who knows? Maybe he just forgot to click the button to reschedule a reminder, but these can get out of control if you don't make sure you get all these to 0 every day. But this is basically reminders that you told yourself to do, okay? And that's pretty much it. This over here is after the phone call. If you forget to update what on a call, it'll show up here. So I hope that was helpful to all of you. That's kind of in a nutshell what we do with the system and how the leads are generated. So I wanted to see if anybody had questions, anything about what I just talked about, or anything else. Feel free to unmute yourself and ask, and we'll go over those issues. Anybody? All right. If you do, just use the unmute button, or you can raise your hand. If those of you that have your pictures up, I'll try to call on you. No worries. Well, thanks, guys, for attending. Oh, wait, Jay has it unmuted. Go ahead.
Yeah, I was just wondering, is this in the agent locker, this outline, or is it something you put on an email or the outline?
I just recorded this, so I'll go ahead and send it out as a recording. There's no, not that I know of, I don't think there's anything in writing, but maybe they will put it in writing at some point. This is I do these classes once every 3 or 4 weeks. I do the same one, but I'll send out this recording, okay?
Okay, sounds good. Thanks.
Thank you. Anybody else have any questions about anything with the IMS? Well, again, thank you guys for participating. I try to keep these things to 30 minutes, and we've gone just a little over, but it's been. I hope it was helpful, and you guys, good luck this week. And we do this every Friday. I have different topics. Feel free to join in any week.
Thank you, Brett.
Thanks, Tim.
Thanks, Brett.
Thank you. Thank you, Corey. All right, everybody.